Space science is becoming more integrated into areas that affect daily life, from communications to environmental monitoring. Growing South Africa's involvement in space science and innovations, in October this year, Rooibos seeds will be launched into the International Space Station, where they will be exposed to microgravity and space radiation for several weeks before returning to Earth next year, around, I think, March next year. Now, this is part of the Rooibos Space Programme, combining space science, agriculture and hands-on learning for South African learners through a real-world plant science experiments in microgravity. Well, to talk more about this, we are joined by Director of SA Rooibos Council, Swart, and we're also joined by co-founder of MaxIQ Space, Judi Sandrock. It is such a pleasure to have both of you. Welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning, Leanne.
Great. Thanks so much.
So, okay, let's start off with the most basic, because it's very difficult for us mere mortals to understand how you are now able to sort of grow things outside of Earth. And this is not the first time it's happened. I mean, I was reading that something like lettuce has been tested outside of the Earth's atmosphere and many other products. So Joe, let me begin with you. Talk to me about this, what's already succeeded, and now Rooibos, why?
Yeah, there's a couple of plants that have gone into space, and Rooibos is so unique. It's a South African plant that thrives in harsh conditions, and it's uniquely South African. It's only grown in a small radius of about 100 kilometers around Clan William in the Western Cape. So it's fantastic, indigenous, healthy product. And the story of Rooibos is being told all around the world, and it's getting bigger. You know, and us as South African Rooibos Council just wants to share that story with the world. And what better way to involve the children and the scientists of tomorrow with this space mission.
Yeah.
I think it's a very unique opportunity for us to showcase the story of Rooibos to the world.
So I'm just going to stay with you for a second, Joe, and I need you to help me understand the kind of conditions that Rooibos actually thrives in. I mean, there's obviously, we know it's very, very few limited areas, as you've explained to us, but what are the conditions and how are they going to be similar to where they go at the International Space Station?
Okay, so the Rooibos seeds are going to the space station. We're going to take the Rooibos seeds up into space, and there's 3 different types of seeds. So it's all the same, but it'll be natural seeds, and seeds are tiny. Seeds are about the size of a pinhead, and there's about 17,500 seeds that will go into space, and it'll be untreated seeds, so it'll just be the natural seed. It'll be a scarified seed, means it's just scraped. So it'll have more contact with air and with moisture. And then we'll have a scarified seed that will be sealed, like we do in the fields when we plant Rooibos. So we plant Rooibos seeds into nurseries, and they stay in the nurseries for about 2 months. And then we start planting the Rooibos seeds into nurseries in February. And they stay there until about July. So it's probably about 4 or 5 months that they stay in the nursery. And then they get planted out in the rainy season into the fields in the Rooibos area.
Yeah.
Now, what makes Rooibos so unique, that it thrives, as I said, in harsh conditions. And as we know, the Western Cape can get very hot, up to 50 degrees Celsius in the day. And in summer, there's absolutely no rain. So it's a winter rainfall where the soil gets moisture. And in the summer, there's absolutely no rainfall and very harsh, sandy conditions. And that's what the plant thrives on. And I think that's where all the medicinal benefits also come out in the plant.
Yeah.
It's got to be tough to survive.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
what we're trying to do is send these seeds up into space and see how the microgravity and the radiation will affect these seeds. You know, we don't know. The seeds might come back, and the roots might grow in all directions and not down, because in space we don't know what's up and what's down.
Indeed.
And it's just the exploratory phase, but it's also to get the children involved.
It's amazing.
And to get the children involved in space, in space and in Rooibos.
Yeah, I love it.
Education,
I think it's absolutely, it's so fascinating. So Judi, let me now throw you into the conversation, because you've got a big task as well. I mean, you've got to transport this from the Cederberg to where they're eventually going to be at Cape Canaveral, to the International Space Station. And then these little pinheads, as we've been seeing, these little seeds, have to then get onto this spaceship and go aboard the ISS until it gets to the space station. I mean, this is a massive and mammoth mission. How are you preparing? Talk to us about this.
Yeah, yes, thank you. We've actually been working on this for 12 years now.
Oh, wow.
As MaxIQ Space. We've been successful as a South African business of launching more than 50 student satellites into orbit. And this will be our third mission to the International Space Station, but the first where we're actually taking the Rooibos seeds with us, or any seeds at all. So from a technology perspective, it is really difficult, but also just from a compliance and paperwork perspective, if one considers that the astronauts are living on the International Space Station, it's a really tough environment and there's very little chance of evacuation. So the team that engages with the astronauts, they have to be so careful that we're not sending something that could actually affect their atmosphere, affect their conditions on the International Space Station. So what we've done is we've been able to make sure that we comply with all of those conditions. So actually the most stress that the seeds are going to be under is actually through that during the launch process. It's going to be going on a SpaceX, a Falcon 1 rocket, because that is the rocket that's used to resupply the International Space Station with food and experiments and everything that they need. So that's actually the toughest part of the ride. What we have done, though, is that we do have a lab in Somerset West where we've been able to test for the vibration and for those conditions during that launch.
And they're fine.
We are very confident that it's going to work.
So, Judi, let me stick with you for a bit as well, because, I mean, you know, a lot of people are sitting at home and saying, oh, how fascinating, and perhaps maybe a great marketing tool. You know, but when you look deeper into this, this is, yes, maybe obviously great for Rooibos as a marketing tool, but at the end of the day, this is also the future. I mean, when we look at a planet that is severely affected by climate change, lack of water. I know that the seeds obviously thrive in these kind of conditions, but the reality is that this has a very, very big repercussion for a lot of agriculture. So in terms of this study and what the future looks like, perhaps, Judi, give us a glimpse into this.
Yes, access to space technology and space-derived data is crucial for many industries, not only agriculture. So our National Space Agency, SANSA, they procure Earth observation data from multispectral cameras where they can actually observe what is happening on the ground, literally, in the Cederberg and actually across our country. So the information they can give us as industry is what are the conditions like, what is the plant health like, where should we fertilize, where should we water more or less, etc. So what we can do is we can really do precision farming and agriculture by using space data. And that actually applies to a lot of other industries. Yeah. So even though we're going to be engaging the learners in the Cederberg area, even though we're going to be engaging them with space science for the successful growing of Rooibos, not all of them are going to go into the Rooibos industry. Yeah. But what it's going to do is it's going to equip them for all the industries that we have in South Africa.
Oh, absolutely, and that's where the key lies. But I mean, Joe, from your perspective, from Rooibos, obviously as an industry body that represents Rooibos processors, packers, brand owners, you know, when we look again to the future, because this is the here and now, and it's a beautiful experiment, but things are changing, positions are changing, people's roles are changing. So, you know, how will their roles and their products be protected as well if something like this actually takes off?
Yeah, it's a very interesting concept that, you know, I don't think we're going to be growing Rooibos in space very soon, but it's a start.
Yeah.
And it's not just Rooibos. As we're saying, it's every other plant. And there's already been quite extensive studies done on wheat in space. And actually, they have grown wheat in the space station, International Space Station, up to a certain size and then brought it back. And then they look at the plants for resistance, for the yield, and to see what happens to these seeds and the plants in those conditions. So, you know, it's only a start. But as we know how technology grows, this will just rocket. And like, we don't know where we will get to. But our main reason is basically just to plant that seed into children and into people around the world, to be interested in education and science, mathematics, and research. You know, and that is that little seed that's planted. And maybe we'll get some great future scientists out of this. And at the same time, we're telling the story of Rooibos. And, you know, and maybe a family will switch to a healthier lifestyle because of this.
Yeah, you never know. You never know
I think
what will happen.
It's a great story to tell.
And an inspiring one, and giving inspiration to a lot, particularly in the kids that are going to be participating in this, because that is probably one of the most exciting aspects of all of this. But Judi, you said this isn't, obviously we've heard the conditions that Rooibos seeds grow in and they flourish in. What else has been tested out there? Wheat, obviously, but a South African product?
Yes, what we're doing is we have an experiment from University of Cape Town. They have developed a radiation sensor, and usually radiation sensors are really expensive and very finicky because they've got these glass tubes, whereas UCT have developed one that we're actually hoping that we can get into schools. We're hoping that it's going to be robust and affordable enough for us to actually have at all schools across the country. So they're going to be testing that with the payload to the International Space Station. And then we also have two experiments from Parklands College in Cape Town. The senior college have developed an accelerometer. What it does is it picks up micro vibrations in the environment, and that's going to be testing for maybe if there's some kind of an anomaly on the International Space Station. So maybe there's a very micro leak maybe somewhere, or some equipment's not working perfectly. And that is going to be very useful in all industries when that experiment comes back and they've analyzed their data. And then the third experiment, which is from Parklands Junior College, is a Springbot, and that is a single board computer developed in South Africa for South African schools, and that's going to be collecting data inside the container. So here are the experiments that are going. So for example, this is the UCT experiment. Here are the Rooibos seeds in their container, and this Springbot is going to be collecting data on microgravity. So the only access we have to microgravity and for testing in microgravity is on the International Space Station. So the Springbot with its accelerometer is going to be proving to us that we are in microgravity. It's also going to be measuring the air temperature and humidity inside the box. Sure. So we'll know what conditions the Rooibos seeds have been in throughout its entire trip. And of course, we're going to also understand the radiation levels because the radiation sensor is going to be giving us that
fascinating data. Judi, that's absolutely fascinating.
So a number of experiments
taking place at the same time.
Really great data for future education.
Amazing, and I hope that data is owned by us, because that is, you know, that's very, very important, that aspect of it, and Rooibos, of course, being behind all of this too. Guys, thank you. So just, I've got to wrap, I've got to let me go, but just somebody tell me the date in October so we can watch this. Can we watch it, actually?
They've given us a launch window. We are going to let you know the exact date.
Perfect.
But we do know it's going to be
in
around
October.
that period.
Okay, good. Stay in touch. We want to see how this goes. Director of SA Rooibos Council, Joe Swart, and co-founder of MaxIQ Space, Judi Sandrock. Fascinating, SK, can you believe it?
Absolutely
Growing
fascinating.
Rooibos
I
in
love
space.
these type of stories, and yeah, I think we should connect with whoever's on the International Space Station and have a conversation.
Imagine.
Don't you think?
See how it goes.
I think maybe we must speak to Judi or someone to see if that's something that can be organized.
Yeah, she's nodding.
Yeah, she's nodding.
I
So
can see her.
there we go.
We can see her. You might not be able to see her, but we can see her. So we have to end this here, but we will not end the story. It's a great story to follow.
Yeah.